Edward W. Said. In this video essay, I present to you Edward Said, a Palestinian American academic, political activist, and literary critic who examined literature in light of social and cultural politics. He is known for key concepts including postcolonial criticism, colonial discourse, Orientalism, imperialism, and contrapuntal reading, which will be discussed briefly. What is Edward Said's postcolonial criticism about? Said's intellectual and political agendas address how white Europeans and North Americans do not understand, or even try to understand, the differences between Western culture and non-Western cultures. His work, Orientalism, is an early example of postcolonial criticism. What are Edward Said's achievements? The introduction of the idea that colonialism operated not only as a form of military rule, but also simultaneously as a discourse of domination was the achievement of Edward Said. The nature of colonial discourse and how it was used to wield power and control over the colonized are therefore central to Said's theory in Orientalism. In simple terms, colonial discourse is generally defined as discourse or communication that revolves around the phenomenon of colonialism. You may ask, what then is Orientalism? Said's central concern in Orientalism is the multiple relationships between the act of writing, cultural politics, language, and power. Through his writings, Said demonstrated how Western journalists, fiction writers, and scholars helped build a prevalent and hostile image of Eastern cultures as inferior, stagnant, and degenerate. Said also showed the extent to which these representations permeate the Western culture. The West exploited these representations to justify their imperialist policies in the Middle East. One of Edward Said's central ideas in Orientalism is that knowledge about the East is generated not through facts, but imagined constructs. The West uses the word Orientalism in relation to the East. It is a mirror image of the inferior, the alien other, to the Occident, West. These constructs imagined Eastern societies as fundamentally similar and sharing the characteristics not possessed by Western societies. Thus, this a priori knowledge set up the Orient as the antithesis of the West. What are Said's views on imperialism and colonialism? In his study, Culture and Imperialism, Said distinguished imperialism and colonialism. Imperialism refers to the practice, theory, and attitudes of a dominant power ruling a distant territory. Colonialism, which is almost always a consequence of imperialism, is the implementing of settlements on distant territory. Imperialism is embedded in colonial discourse and is an essential tool for creating the colonized subject. How can we analyze the literature or writings of imperialists and colonialists? Imperialism is categorized by what Said calls contrapuntal, a term employed to outline the interrelationship between two narratives: the narratives of the colonizers alongside those of the colonized, thus examining opposite and intertwined histories. Hence, contrapuntal reading requires not only reading the text in terms of what it includes, but in terms of what has been excluded from it, by going beyond the constraints of narration within the terrain of imperialism. In summation, Said's Orientalism arose from a need for the West to define itself as the opposite of a counterbalancing entity. Said's postcolonial criticism represents an ideological response to colonialist thought. Well, that's a wrap on this video. We hope you found it informational, and if you did, make sure to press the like button and show some love by sharing this video. Be sure to leave a comment about how Edward Said's work has been influential in your thinking, teaching, and learning. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe to our channel to check out more mini lessons and summaries on educational topics. Thank you for your service, educators. Until the next time.